We should be live here on YouTube. I always love when I get to connect with you. I love doing these lives. I love answering your questions. I love bringing value where I can. I'm going to open the chat up now so that I can begin to converse with you as we're doing this live today. Perhaps as we are opening the live, you can let me know what part of the world you're joining me from, where you're tuning in from. Your city, your country, what part of the world are you joining today? I want to hear from you. I understand there's a slight delay, so I always like giving an opportunity for people to catch up. You can probably see Dolores. Well, I know you can see Dolores because she's right in the background here. My teacher, the one that got me started on my journey. In fact, it could have been one of the reasons that you subscribe to this channel. Maybe let me know if this is how you found me, is through me sharing some of Dolores Cannon's work. Some of you may not know this, but I am a practitioner of the method she created, quantum healing hypnosis technique, or better known as QHHT. It's a method of connecting to one's higher self, to be able to access healing, information in the physical. The information that is so beneficial to so many people is, what is my purpose? What is my specific contribution to the collective at this time? And I'm just I can see the chat open there, so I'm welcoming some of you. Let me see if I can see the chat on my smart device. I can see it over there on the computer. I just want to see it on my smart device so I can read it. Here we go. Bear with me as I get it up here, because I want to be able to converse. So we've got Dina. Hello, Dina. And Samala, I think it is, from Canada. Correct me if I'm wrong on pronouncing your name. We got people joining from around the world. And of course, we get people from all over the globe, all the way down here in Australia, through North America, Canada, the United States, through to Europe, depending on the time zone. Get people from the United Kingdom, get people from South Africa, through Europe. People join from the Netherlands. If you're in the chat right now, let me know where you're joining me from. I want to hear from you. I want to answer some questions as well today. I want to answer some of the questions that you've got. Perhaps it's a personal question, or a question about your soul's purpose. It's a common one. People tend to ask, what is my contribution? What am I meant to be doing? I said earlier in a video I created for my member-only subscribers on YouTube that a part of my vision is to build community. We're in a world now that's vastly disconnected through these things. It seems paradoxical, doesn't it, that I'm communicating through one of these things. I've come to learn through what I've been taught that there's no good or bad. There are only lessons. And intention plays a huge role in how we do and use the things. My intention with technology isn't to mindlessly scroll through a news feed or a Reels feed, but to bring value to those that I can connect with, that I can reach. And a part of the objective of this live stream today is to bring value, to bring information. And that's why I open this, and I'm going to be on for some time today. I hope you've got time to stick around, because I want to be answering questions. I want to be bringing value to those that are watching this, that are joining. And so let me give this as an invitation to you to bring your questions to me. We're rather quiet in the chat. This is my opportunity to bring value to you. So I want to see an active chat. Please converse with me so that I can answer questions. Those that know me know I can talk endlessly. That is not the intention of today. Today's intention is about answering your questions. So I'll stick around. They might be personal questions. When I started my spiritual awakening years ago, boy, was it a different landscape than we find ourselves in. I found myself searching old bookstores for metaphysical books, and there wasn't anyone to answer any questions. Some of these books were very dusty when I pulled them off the shelf. This is 17 years ago. Things have changed a lot. We have social media now, we have groups online that we can connect in real time. We can do live streams like this and be conversing. I can be answering your questions. A very different landscape than what I came from. Here we go. We have a question, so I want to answer it. I'd like to know more about quantum healing hypnosis technique. Great question there, Samelia. QHHT, which it's better known as abbreviated, was derived and developed by Dolores Cannon. She developed this technique over 45 years. Now, when she started practicing hypnosis, the intention that she set out upon was to help people with habits, quit smoking, lose weight. One of the first women that she worked with was a woman that was a larger woman, and she wanted to use hypnosis to be able to lose weight. What Dolores and her husband Johnny found in those early days with this specific woman is, rather than going into their subconscious part of the mind to help reprogram it to stop compulsively eating, which was the problem that she was wanting to work on, she spontaneously went into a past life. It surprised Dolores. It surprised her husband Johnny. They were not expecting it. And of course, being the investigator, the great investigator that she was, she would ask a lot of questions. Now, this woman spoke in great detail, very specifically, from the perspective of this woman in another time. She was able to record huge amounts of information about this woman's life. I believe from memory it was a life lived in Ireland about 100 or so years ago, 150 years ago. And she was reliving it in hypnosis in great detail. So this got Dolores started on a very long journey over 45 years of investigation, into not just metaphysics, but into healing, into understanding things like the work of Nostradamus, transcribing the quatrains. You might ask what a quatrain is. It's a short caption of information that he recorded over time that was coded. The reason it was coded, it was during the time when a lot of these metaphysical concepts were banned by the church at the time. So they had to be coded. And he very cleverly put together these quatrains in such a way that they could not be interpreted at the time. They were reserved for another time in history where they could be interpreted, and that is what Dolores Cannon's book series was all about, with Conversations of Nostradamus, the quatrains and the meaning for the time that we are living in now. She also went on to publish other book series. The Convoluted Universe talks about a lot of metaphysical themes, talks about how the soul incarnates, how the universe works, the concept of God, what is God, why are we here? All of these things are covered in great detail in this book series, as well as one of her final books, which is The Three Waves of Volunteers and the New Earth, a concept that is now widespread in spiritual circles about starseeds or volunteers or way showers, light workers, incarnating into the human race from other parts of this dimension, of other dimensions, to help humanity make a needed and pivotal shift from one state of consciousness, our current state, into a more evolved state of consciousness. I was watching a YouTube video last night of a TV show that was broadcast here in Australia with a very well-known individual, Jane Goodall. Some of you will maybe let me know in the chat if you know who I'm talking about. Jane Goodall, who worked with chimpanzees years ago in the 60s and 70s in Africa. And she very interestingly said, she's just turned 90, that humanity has used their mind, their analytical mind, to cause so much destruction, destroying habitats and using fossil fuels and all the types of pollution that we have caused. And she was asked by the host on this show whether she was optimistic or not about humanity's future. Surprisingly, she was, and I tend to agree with her. I think we're talking about these issues a lot more than we used to. We used to bury our head in the sand when it came to some of these really important issues. We're having conversations now. We're evolving. It may not be happening as quickly as we would like, but it is happening. Now, Dolores Cannon spoke in many of her books about not everybody making the evolutionary jump. That not everybody was going to decide to move with the momentum, which is okay, by the way. Not everybody needs to. Not everybody needs to make this shift. One of the rules, if you like, that's probably a bad word to use. A part of this reality that we live in is governed by free will, free choice. And we get to choose where we go. Now, this is a personal thing. It's an evolutionary thing. We can do this in any point of our lives what we want. We can either go this way or that way. When it comes to our soul's evolution, we're either going to evolve or we're going to stay. That's the choice. And that is the split that Dolores Cannon discusses in detail in a number of her books. Who's aware of this split? And I'm going to look at the chat now. Dina, hello Dina. I have started connecting to my community through my art. I find that I met so many messengers while in there is fairs, beautiful people with beautiful messages. A lot of creative people tend to use more of the right hemisphere of the brain. It's a less analytical part of our evolution. When you access the right hemisphere of the brain, you tend to get more in touch with things like intuition, with inspiration, with the higher mind that operates beyond the physical brain. Here's the interesting thing about this. Your mind, and there are different words that are synonymous with mind: soul, mind, higher consciousness, higher self. They're synonymous. They all mean the same thing. The human brain and the human body is what is discarded with each life. When you die, that is death. Death is an illusion from the perspective of the soul or the mind. Your brain, which is a tool of your mind, we often get confused. We think the brain is the mind and the mind is the brain. It's not. The mind retains all of the lessons and information from every incarnation. This is why we can tap into the subconscious mind to access past life memories. Soul or the mind is never forgets. Someone that suffers dementia or Alzheimer's, it's a condition of the brain. They lose cognitive function, cognitive awareness. All of those neural pathways get disorientated in the physical, and eventually that will go back into the earth where it came from, along with the body. And yet, the mind remains, the soul remains. It is the eternal aspect. So back to Dina's thing with creative people, and I connect with a lot of creative people in my own life. I've got a lot of people in the arts, a lot of people that are creative people, and I've observed this is, yes, they tend to be more connected to their right side, which makes them more open. I've known a lot of highly left-brained people over the years, professors, educators, doctors, scientists, that tend to be more dominantly orientated towards the left side of their mind, and they're very dogmatic when it comes to thinking outside of the box. They tend to be the skeptics. I wonder if we've got any skeptics today on my broadcast. I always tend to get some of them in there. And I've said to myself, I'm going to ignore and not give attention to those as much as I have in the past. I tend to like to do that. Have we got any more questions at this point? I'm not sure. I forgot to set my clock, how long I've been on. Maybe someone that's been here from the beginning can let me know. Stella. Hello, Stella. How are you? Where are you joining me from, Stella? Stella Ray. I'm having huge interruptions in my life trying to adapt to the new frequencies. I'm barely hanging on. Stella, I've got a whole masterclass program, 6 live workshops that happen over the next 6 months, where this is what it's designed to do, is help people through. And Stella is from Texas. What part of Texas? Are you Dallas? Are you Fort Worth? Are you Houston? What part of Texas are you from? Many of us struggle, Stella, with navigating the terrain of ascension. It's almost like being in a valley or in a dark tunnel and not seeing any light. In fact, I've coined it breakdown, or the breakdown stage. My program, my masterclass series, is called Breakdown to Breakthrough. What I observe with the hundreds and hundreds of sessions that I've done with one-on-one clients is just before an individual is about to break through, as they're having this evolutionary shift, perceivably, everything in their experience appears to break down. Relationships leave their life. They might lose a career. They might face depression. They might face anxiety. They may have a breakdown emotionally. I call this the breakdown stage. I've come to observe that it precedes any great breakthrough. I've also come to learn it's not a bad thing. However, it's challenging to navigate it when you don't know that. And that is why I developed my program. Perhaps, Stella, you can book a free 20-minute session with me to be able to... Can you just excuse me for 1 sec? I need to get to my doorbell. Give me 1 second. I've got an important package coming from Amazon today, and you'll hear Louis barking in the background, but that's okay. Hopefully you'll ignore him. Stella says, thank you. Stella, I invite you to have a free session with me, because what I can do is I can give you more specific information in a free 20-minute call on Zoom than we can in a group setting here. And anyone else that wants to book a free session, I give that to anybody that wants to do that. Louis, you'll hear him barking for a bit. He'll do that until he's tired. I might close the door because I want to keep this conversation going. Louis, shush. Do you love that? I find that with Amazon is every time I don't want Amazon to come, they come. And when I want them to come, they don't. So that's just my little thing with Amazon. The joys of broadcasting videos from your home, it's all part of it. And thank you for your patience as Louis barks and distracts me from what I'm trying to say. Have we got any more questions at this point? I'm here predominantly to answer questions, and I know we've got 14 of you that are joining live. If you're watching the replay of this, I go back to all of the comments in the replay. I'm happy to answer any other questions in the replay of this live stream as well. So if you've got questions in the replay, I'll go back and have a look in there. I've got another question here from Somalia, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong pronouncing your name. How do we know our energy frequency is high or low? Great question. One of the ways you can know is your emotions. If you are feeling down and depressed, you're obviously vibrating at a low frequency. However, in any given moment, you know there are things that you can do that are going to elevate your mood. For me, it's when I work out at the gym, I get a release of endorphins in the brain, I get my body moving, and I feel better. So when I leave a workout session and I come back home, which happens to be where I work, I've got new energy. We're always oscillating between different emotions or energies all of the time. Very rarely does someone stay in a constant state of higher vibration. I don't. And I'll be really honest about that. I'm always oscillating between challenges and higher states of connection to higher self, to inspiration, and then I go back into the valley, which I call it, of despair. And then I pick myself up and I go back and I'm oscillating up and down. That is normal. It's normal for me. I mean, perhaps it's different for you. I'm open to hearing different perspectives. My work, my spiritual practice, is to navigate the oscillation of emotion and frequency and not get stuck. Perhaps that's the challenge that a lot of us go through. We get stuck or we get blocked. In fact, I think it's the number one thing that I observe when I work with my one-on-one clients. They tell me the number one thing that they experience is being blocked. They have blocks around abundance, blocks around relationships, manifesting. We're never externally blocked. God, or the way I like to define God in better terms, is the divine, works for me in understanding what that force really is. Does not judge, does not reap out judgment, as many of us were raised Christian, as I was. I believed in a vengeful, fearful God. We do it all to ourselves. And that's a big spiritual lesson. Many people that call themselves spiritual have not learnt that yet, that we do it to ourselves. Now, obviously, we do it unconsciously. So this is the misunderstanding. Why would I stop myself from experiencing love and abundance and joy? Why am I stuck over in this loneliness and this depression? Life's about lessons for your soul's evolution. It's how we tend to learn. Is through challenge, is through adversity. This is why a lot of people have difficulty here in this reality, and they repeat because they're not learning the lessons. It's Samala. There we go. Thank you for correcting me. But that's okay. Thank you for the answers. Samala, do you have any more questions? Or Stella, if you're still with us, do you have any more questions? And Stacy, hello. Stacy's joined us. How are you, Stacy? Great to see you. Great having you on here. And we've got other people on here during the live, and if you're watching the replay, perhaps you can engage at this point and let me know. Largely, this is intended to be questions and answers. I feel like I've spoken a lot and not answered too many questions. I'd like to answer some more questions because I think that brings most value to people. Let me just adjust I've changed my setup recently, so I'm tweaking everything, and hopefully, if there are anything that's jarring technically, actually, how is my sound? Is my sound loud enough? It's one thing you can help me with. Is my sound good? Let me know in the chat how the sound is. When you do any live communication, there are always technical aspects to it. And getting them not loud enough, yes. And I'm trying to work on that because I've actually got my microphone right up here on my shirt. And from my perspective here, it's all on the loudest settings. Now, if you're having trouble with the sound, you might have to turn your volume up. I'm going to work on it and try to see from a technical point of view how I can fix that, always trying to make it better visually. How has the latency been? Have we had any cutouts? Has it gone fuzzy on your end, or has it lagged or cut out? I think this is John. I'm from Virginia and would like to personally talk to Dolores or you to be healed, or at least try to know. That would be difficult. Dolores has passed on. I'm not sure if you know that. But I can help you, John, as one of Dolores' students with any question that you've got around healing. Perhaps, John, you can be more specific with me about what you want to be healed of, what your specific condition is. I can get into some detail about what it is if you give me some more context to work with. How are we with the visual? Have we had any latency or cutouts or breakups or anything like that? Okay, here we go. John has answered me. Thank you, John, for answering. I have a rare disease that only 1 in 300,000 have, and there's no known cure. I suffer in horrible pain and vomit all of the time. I'm sorry to hear this. I've had failed surgery and have been barely hanging on for my life. Well, firstly, I'm sorry that you've gone through that, John, and I can't imagine how difficult that would be, particularly when it comes to pain. John, I encourage you to have a free one-on-one session with me. What I can do in a free one-on-one session is I can be a little bit more personal with you. If you let me know via email this specific condition, I can also learn more about it and understand it more and offer some personalized guidance, and we can do some energy work. I'd like to be of service to you. So if you want to reach out to me personally, I'm happy to give you a free session, no cost to you, where we can explore and I can see how I can help you there. Stella has got another question. I have a billion questions. I love it. That's great. It feels good to just have people somewhat relating to me. Makes me super happy. I'm hearing as well. but you do a little bit low. Okay, so this is a volume thing. I'm going to work on it, Stella, and I'm going to do the best that I can to work out what the issue is. It may be a software thing. I stream through YouTube onto the video and it comes back. So let me work on it, and hopefully you can at least hear me enough if you turn up the volume. I know about energy. Oh, this is from John. I know about energy healing and frequency, and I'm very awake to my past lives, to who I am and my purpose. While I'm here, I have a huge heart and everything. I've been through this and it has only made me. I think it got cut off there. What Dolores Cannon taught us, John, and many people in the metaphysical space, is that a lot of our physical ailments are messages to get our attention. If I know more specifically about your condition, I can give better specific guidance to you as what I think it may be. When it comes to healing, something that the mainstream doesn't offer as a perspective is that we are energy. We are energetic. Quantum physics and mechanics understand this from a scientific standpoint. Dolores Cannon and Einstein said everything is energy, vibrating and oscillating at different frequencies, including you energetically. All of our emotions could be from a past life, could be from this life, could be from childhood. Unless we release and relinquish them, will get stored in your energetic body, in your energetic field. Given enough time, it will eventually manifest physically in the form of ailments, in the form of dis-ease. That is my understanding of where illness truly comes from. So John, I can be more of service to you and get into more of that stuff in a free session if you would like to do that. Thank you so much, John says. There is more happening, but this is one of the biggest things that I've ever faced in my life. And I've been faced with some of the worst, but I practice energy healing through HZ. All right, well, if you would like a free session with me, or you would like me to refer you to someone else, if you feel more comfortable, maybe in your local area, if you want to do a in-person quantum healing hypnosis session with someone in person, I can also refer you to another practitioner that can do this. Leela, I think it is, or Lula. Hope you don't mind that I recommended him. Oh, so you recommended someone. He is teaching us to not give our power away, waiting for someone to heal us. We can heal ourselves. I do energy work, yes. This is a great point, Lula, I think it is. And once again, correct me if I get the pronunciation wrong. You raise such a good point, such a valid point. Healing, where does it come from? There are many people in the spiritual community that purport and profess themselves to be healers. Personally, I'm very skeptical when it comes to those individuals. My understanding and my training from Dolores Cannon has always been that we heal ourselves. Even if you were to get a surgery, John, or anybody else that's listening, what the surgeon will do is they will aid in a natural healing process, but the body itself will do the healing. I'll give you an example. If I was to cut my finger right now and it was bad enough that I would need stitches, I would go to ER, they would stitch me up, and my body would do the healing work. The stitches would aid and assist in the healing process. It does not do the healing. Energy healers, doctors, physicians, surgeons can aid and speed up a recovery process, but all healing comes from within. Correct me if I'm wrong. That is my understanding and my perspective. So we do heal ourselves according to what Dolores Cannon taught us. Often we just need to be shown how. And that is why I exist as a practitioner, as a teacher, as a guide, not to do the work for you. In fact, if you book a healing session with me, I start every session by opening the session with those words. I do not do the healing. I simply aid as a physician would. In a natural healing process, it is you that does the healing. In fact, let me go a bit further. Anything that you seek, whether it be financial abundance, the perfect relationship, physical healing, will never be found externally. This is the premise of all manifestation. We don't get what we want. We get what we are. If we got what we wanted, wouldn't you think with all the wanting in the world would be abundantly provided for? And yet it's not, because we don't get what we want, we get what we are. We get what we believe, and life simply mirrors back to us our beliefs. I shared a video on YouTube yesterday that says the universe always says yes. It's always saying yes. You say to the universe, I want healing. I want to be healed. It will say yes. You say, I want healing again. It will say yes. It will say yes, 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 yes. Listen to that slowly. I want to be healed. The universe is listening to you and is hearing, I want, I want, I want. And the universe is saying, yes, 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 want, want, want. The universe doesn't work with time the way the human construct of time works. Time is a construction of our human mind. I am healed, yes, someone's watched my video. Rather than I want to be healed, I desire to be healed. It doesn't matter how much passion and intention and pain you are in, the universe is going to say yes to you. I invite you to use the words, and these aren't simply affirmations, they are declarations of your belief until they solidify and become your experience. I am healed. And perhaps everything in your body is aching and screaming out in pain. And yet in the face of that, you are professing and affirming that you are healed. Eventually, now of course you're not going to feel it and believe it from the first time you utter that out of your lips. Your work in that situation is to get to a place of belief. And let me tell you, when you believe it, the universe will say yes. And that is where manifestation happens. Now, for the vast majority of people, they give a couple of affirmations. Meanwhile, they're affirming other things about their life at the same time of all the things they don't want. You don't get what you affirm. You get what you are. You get what you believe and what you think. How do we change our beliefs? How do we change? We have to get really clear and do the work. I've come to learn that healing is not a destination, it's a journey. It's a journey. I've done a lot of healing work over the years, and I will continue to do more healing work over the years because that is my understanding of healing. Now, I've witnessed in my sessions instantaneous healing. I've watched things like cancer. I've watched people that come to me that have been given a death sentence by the doctor. They've been given a 3 or 4 week time frame of life. And they're still here with us years later because they decided to use what I said is I am. And here's the thing why I had this conversation with a client the other day. Why do you think some of the terminal people tend to get better results than more of the benign issues? Because that's been my observation, is because they don't have any time. They give all of that. Let me tell you, when someone is terminal and they've been given 3 weeks to live, they're not distracted by anything else, the TV or other thing. No, they give everything to it. All of their energy goes into this. And they're often the ones that get the result. Because what we put into something is what we get out of it. Now, if I was a different operator and I said, I do healing and I'll heal you and you pay this and have a session and do all of this, I would probably have a lot more clients. That's not my understanding of healing. You do the work. A physician, a practitioner like myself, yes, can aid and be very beneficial in the process, but it is always the individual that does the work. Shelley, how are you? Great you joined us. And if you haven't said hello in the chat before I end this session today, come and say hello, or if you're watching the replay, I love to connect with you. I love this, John. I'm going to be posting my testimony soon, and I hope it can help others. Beautiful. Yes, I believe that too. And remember, John, when you start to see yourself in the present moment, I'm not saying you're going to believe it right away because you're shifting perspective here. So when you first say, I'm healed and healed, and your body is aching in pain, obviously you're not going to believe it right away. You impress and expose yourself enough to something, eventually you'll believe it. This is why people that are compulsive liars believe their own crap that they spin. They've heard it so many times, they've said to people so many times that they're a particular way, that they themselves believe it. Despite your pain, John, move your statements, move your perspective to I am. Be consistent. Do energy healing. Have a free session with me. Get all of the knowledge that you can to confirm the I am. And when you've put enough energy into it, like the clients I've worked with that have been given these death sentences of 3 or 4 months, and when you put enough energy, That's when you create something different. I could talk all day. I need to have lunch. It's lunchtime here in Australia, almost right on 1 o'clock. So I will leave it there. If you're getting value out of this YouTube channel, let me know. I value your feedback. I value your creative input, your input around the technical issues. It helps me get better. I want to create content for you that's engaging, that's inspiring, that isn't going to be frustrating to listen to or watch. So I've got a thick skin, by the way, so I value all interaction, all comments, and all advice. So wonderful. I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to have my lunch and I'll feed Louie at the same time. Have a wonderful evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you are. And I look forward to communicating with you all again next time. Much love.